So for our second, or I guess this would be the third video of this company, this channel, it's both really. We wanted to make something about another content creator because one of the things we're really trying to focus on here is content strategy, because that's what we're best at. Now, we have a video coming soon that's gonna be our offerings. I'm like literally looking at them written behind Chase. Basically what's happening with those is we're just trying to figure out right now what the business actually offers and how to package that. So we're just trying to figure out like, how do we take social media knowledge and package that into a company? You know what I mean? Interesting. But today, we wanted to make a video about one of our favorite content creators. At least I watch her a lot, and I've known her for a long time. I think she's making huge waves on social media, and I thought, why not make a video about what she does and then make a like potential content strategy for her? We wanted to make a video about Sara because we saw some really like amazing things she's doing with her content. And when I first made the Casey Neistat one and the Adam Savage one and David Dobrik one, we actually talked briefly and I said I was gonna do one about her and she was excited about the idea. So I promise this is very unwarranted, but still can kind of be wanted. Is that okay? Does that make sense? So there's 5 different sections as always. Each one is gonna be each social media, and then the 5th one is just kind of random fun content ideas. Who doesn't love free content? Yeah, if you ever tried to make a YouTube video, the first thing you do is like, okay, what am I gonna make my video about? And that's the part that you sit at for so long. So let's just throw some random ones out there. I hope she doesn't necessarily use the ones we come up with, but riffs on the ideas. Because I think what I'm trying to do is just present more ideas, bring more ideas to the table, and have her riff off or have her reach out and be like, yo, let's do this together. All right, so I wanted to start with Sara's Twitter because it's awesome. Like, she does such a good job with all kinds of content. Here's a few things I was thinking about. I think she would do super well if she had more of a like content schedule. So she does amazing things with her podcast, which we're gonna get to. Obviously YouTube videos are baller, but I think that there could be more bite-sized content that could be shared on Twitter because she's already one of the queens of Twitter. She knows, being in the tech space, like how to use it well, how to interact with people, how to do all that. And I have a blurb on that in a second. But video snippets for her I think would be really excellent because she does have really high interaction on Twitter, and I would just love to see that community just have more Sara content just to kind of keep them involved in her ecosystem. It's kind of like the Apple's ecosystem, you know, how they have all these things, all these different little pieces in all these different places that all connect to make you just, you're always a part of it. Like you gotta go buy that specific dongle, you gotta go buy that specific headphone charger. But if you do that with content, then people always know, like, okay, if I'm on Twitter, I'm gonna get these quick little bite-sized bits of content, so you'll honestly develop like more of a following in different places, because on Twitter, there's gonna be like really quick quote-sized content, you know, those like that 1 minute, like hardcore Gary Vee style video where it's just like one topic for 1 minute and it just bumps. I think that's great. The next thing for your Twitter is I would take like 15 minutes, like once a week or twice a week, or you can just do this whenever, but scheduling tweets and creating more drafts I think is gonna be really helpful for you, because I think it's always valuable, and I am not even good at this. This is something I like need to focus on, is just putting out random little bits of content. I kind of call them memes, and they don't have to be memes specifically, but in improv, when you're doing acting, these little jokes that you have inside your content, those are called a game. Now, I don't want to go too much further into that. I'll make a video all about a game and your meme, but I'm going to bring this kind of theory to influencers. You already have your inside jokes, you already have the humor that all of your followers know that you have. So why not call back those moments? Why not every time you think of one of those funny jokes, because I know you're creative and I know you do this, when you're just like at the grocery store, just like picking up your stuff and you're like, oh, that would be a funny tweet. Draft it immediately. Make it part of your routine to be like, okay, if I think of something funny to tweet, draft it. And then twice a day, just go through and post one of your drafts or post a little thing. It doesn't have to link to anything. It doesn't have to be in response to anyone. It can just be a tweet. It doesn't have to be anything to promote yourself, but that kind of content lets your audience know that like, oh, she's invested. She's just like posting her thoughts here. That's what's gonna make your Twitter still feel raw. Does that make sense? The next thing I wanna say is your interaction is awesome, but I want you to interact with everyone if possible. And you can do this in chunks, so you can do like 2 30-minute chunks throughout a day, because I know you're a very productive and organized person. I want you to stay that way. Or you could do like 1 chunk. I just think putting all of that time into a scheduled time is gonna be really helpful for your mental health and your business, because you can just be like, I just did everything Twitter. I sat 30 minutes on Twitter and didn't just read, but like responded and tweeted back to all these people. And like one of the things I love to do right now is I have all the notifications from my favorite creators on, and whenever they tweet out something, I try and always respond and just build that like click, which I think is something that you guys already have done with that New York City click and the tech click, which you already belong to both of. And like every time iJustine or MKBHD tweets, I love watching you guys respond to that. Like that interaction brings all of your audiences so much closer, and you share audiences because Twitter is an amazing way to find new creatives. Cool story. I made this post a while ago, but like your @ is the new backlink, and is the largest amount of times you can tweet out is the better you can do. I think the perfect example of this, throwback to this rapper, and I think he's still great, just so everyone gets that clear, but Hoodie Allen, look at how many times that man has tweeted. And those aren't botted tweets. Those are him responding to people tweets.
Tweeted 145,000 times.
Loser! That guy is a maniac. I remember years ago when he hit 100,000 tweets and I was like, what? Okay, that's all I got for the Twitter section. Let's do an Instagram section. All right, Sarah. First thing we just need to get out of the way. Solo pictures, they do the best. They do the best for everyone. That's just how that works. I think this is something that like is on the schedule for me in the next coming weeks. It doesn't have to be lame, it doesn't have to be weird, but just go do a photo shoot with like multiple different outfits all around New York City, because people love pictures of you in New York City by yourself, skating, whatever. Just evergreen content. Just content that exists to be content. That doesn't have to sell anything, it doesn't link to anything. It can just be like, hey, this is a photo of me and John at the park. We love that. People love that. But then, now getting into the more like specific Instagram content you could be posting, you're doing great on stories. I don't have much to say about that other than this is just my general tip toward everyone. Don't do too many swipe ups. I think like once a day is kind of all you really get, and even that, people are gonna kind of get used to it and then get sick of it and not do it. So if you can spare your swipe ups, solid. Your content. I think videos would really help you grow, because the one you did of Gary and the one you did of Roberto, those both did really, really well. For your size following, that was solid engagement. Now, you may not think so, but I promise it is, because the landscape of everyone else getting views on Instagram is just like not good, so you're doing great. But those kinds of videos, especially when they're from your podcast, are so awesome. And I know that those are difficult to create because like, I did this in my old job, doing the subtitles, doing the bars on both sides, like all of that. It takes a long time, and when you're doing a podcast, it's like an hour and a half of content, or our podcasts are like an hour, somewhere in that range, 45 to somewhere. That's a lot of content, and that's a lot of things to remember. So I'm gonna get to this in the random section, but let's bookmark there. I think weekly, or as much as possible, those kinds of content are one of the biggest points of Gary Vee's strategy, and that's why he grows so fast. So just keep that in mind. This is just something to reiterate for everyone, but you always will find success in posting more on Instagram, and that's really hard without being really intentional. So like I said, like going out and doing a photo shoot for Instagram, as lame as that is, if that's part of your business, like you gotta do it. If we can focus on the more hero content, the stuff that'll do really, really well, and then post more of it so that we can post the same amount of ad content, we'll do amazing. And again, we're gonna get to your ad content, but it's incredible. Like there's nothing to worry about there. Ad content is not something to be afraid of, not something that's like bad. No one's posting too much of it. And then when you're out posting these photos like on these shoots, that's gonna build your brand more than tech. And especially with the podcast coming in, it's gonna build your brand more than tech. And now I know tech is an amazing space to live in right now, and I think you should stay there, but thinking like really big picture, thinking like 10 years, if you're posting photos of you, you're building a really good solid personal brand outside of those kind of industries. It's just like a Sara industry. And then also, if you're posting more like podcast stuff, that's building like an even bigger brand, because those kind of bite-sized content aren't necessarily always about a specific niche. They're about all kinds of stuff. And so you could really get into talking about all kinds of things, kind of like the way H3 did, where they used to be just kind of like a React parody meme channel, but now their top content on YouTube is like H3 reacts to insert any popular thing here and it gets 1 million views. Yeah, that was solid. Should we do YouTube? With a tripod. I'm just gonna start with, if you're afraid of this, and this being 4, this is 12 terabytes of storage right here, you should be afraid. If someone can actually recommend a good like storage system for me, I need that. This is all the vlogs. Remember this? This is all my vlogs. How crazy. Okay, so YouTube channel. Chase is taking a break for a second. What I think is really cool about her is the way she does her content. It's so different than like other tech YouTubers. It's not like this. The way she posts her videos isn't just like tech product after tech product. It's like tech product and then a more aspirational video and then like all kinds of different content. And that's what's so cool. I wish we could like know kind of what's coming, or she could announce it and start building hype around things. So, and I know a lot of things, a lot of products are like, oh, it's a secret until the launch because there's an embargo and you have to send things back. You've got to do all kinds of crazy hoops to jump through to film a video about a tech product. But if there was a way where you could announce like, hey, coming up this blank is this video, I think you would find a higher conversion and people just being more interested in the Sara Dietschy ecosystem. I think it would up your views a little bit, and you know, every little bump we all know is a great thing. Especially when, if you're hyping things up, there's a good chance those people are gonna come very quickly because they know what time you're gonna post and know what day, and they're gonna be like looking out for it if it's something that they're excited about. And as we know, the YouTube algorithm really rewards those quick views. So the more you can like say, hey, this is coming up, this is coming out, I think you might find success. I think Philip DeFranco does an amazing job of this because you kind of like know what's coming up on the show if you follow him on Twitter. And so when he finally posts, people are like stoked about what's next. One thing that is so dang cool about you is you have videos that pop. And I mean like pop. You posted that Intel ad a couple weeks ago and it just exploded. It was a tutorial, but it exploded. 1.7 million views is humongous. Plus there's also really solid ROI there because your brand probably really loved it and you probably really loved it and everyone's bank accounts probably really loved it and we're all just like, ah. Let's learn from that viral video. So one thing I went through your channel and kind of noticed is that your comparison videos seem to do really, really well. And this is from a couple examples, but when you do a comparison, it seemed that people are like, oh, I'm gonna get 2 partial reviews here and then get an opinion. And people really love to be told. Now, you're the tech reviewer here, so I'm not gonna step in that space because that is your space and you own it and you're amazing at it. But at least from what I know is when I'm looking for a tech product, I'm not looking for, hey, this is a recommendation. I'm looking for which one does the tech person use? So again, the hyperlapse video, what was so fascinating about it is that it was tutorial based and not just like tutorial, it was like nitgrit, you got into it. It's very similar to what Mango Street is doing, and I again, love that channel because they actually really offer tactile practical advice and show you how to do it. It's not like, it's not really secretive, it's not really like that difficult to understand. They really get into it and actually help you do something like that. Same way you did. And that's why it was so cool when you brought an ad into that, because the brand probably just freaking loved that that was the video that you ended up posting. It's really creative content. And then I think something that could have been really, really cool you did out of this, I don't know if you did or not, but whenever I've thought about doing brand deals in the past, and this is something that's kind of like a new thought that I've been noodling on, but what if you made specific content that could be very, very easily reposted by them? Because when I've worked with brands, like when I worked with Microsoft, I'll tell this story, I wasn't specifically working with the social media team, I was working with the Surface team. Winston's coming up here. What I'm saying was, I wasn't working with the social media team, I was working with the Surface team. But when I was with the Surface team, we were like, hey, let's make a bunch of fun pieces of content for social, because if you just present content to them, they're most likely to post it. So when you're out on a brand deal like that, making something like a hyperlapse is a unbelievably beautiful idea and a beautiful execution on that of let's make content that the brand could also share. Because Microsoft Surface has a lot of followers, and when they were reposting my content, I was like, got them. The next thing is your comment section. You have such a loyal audience. Just like, I was going through your comments and I wasn't seeing anything that's like super mean, super crazy, super critical. Everyone's just like really supportive and supportive of each other. And I wonder if there's a way you can nurture that, maybe with like a group or maybe with just like a person to help you respond to those comments. Again, wink, wink, I think that there could be another person here that's just like a tactile person, kind of like Chase. But what you've built, Sarah, is an amazing community. And I think talking to someone who's like really into communities, I mean, I can always recommend one of my best friends, Natalie Frank, is the best community manager I know. And reaching out to someone like that and just learning about how they nurture a community and build something big and build something amazing that's really impactful, I think you could learn a lot from. And then you could have a group and that would convert, and obviously that's another whole part of a business that you would have to like figure out. But again, I think that there's a lot of longevity in something like that. When there's like tactile advice, there's community, there's groups, there's all kinds of things that can come out of that. So, okay, so the podcast. I don't know what your viewership is at because that's not something I can very easily publicly see unless I really track down where you're posting your podcast. Creative Exchange, awesome. Awesome, 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 awesome. Obviously, the tip I'm gonna give you is podcast highlights. I think you already know this. And this is where I think that person that I've kind of been hinting at this whole time could really come into handy. So if you do a like podcast highlights, Sara Dietschy on blank, Sara Dietschy with this person on blank. Just kind of topical conversations like that. That's really bite-sized. That's stuff that can be stored up for later down the road for like your Twitter or your Instagram. Because like the Gary one you did had double the views of the Roberto one, but the Roberto one still had an amazing amount of views. So it was just like great content being shared all around. Everyone loves it. Bada bing, bada boom, let's go. But as we've seen, H3 was now able to completely shift their like entire focus to their podcast because that's making them more money. And I know that you know that there's money in podcasting and I'm not gonna get into that, but I'm just saying longevity, audience growth, all kinds of stuff. Sara Dietschy podcast highlights. And that can be really quick. There's random ideas that a second person just kind of like helping you organize content. A content manager of a position is something that I haven't seen a lot of YouTubers work with, but I see pretty much every Twitch streamer I know work with. And it's cool because this person is able to just help them like make the content for their other platforms and post it for them, and it's just happening while they're doing other things. This would take a huge amount of things off your plate. If you didn't have to like write out subtitles for a video and you could instead be planning another video or tweeting or posting on Instagram, like that is time back in your pocket. That is huge. And then the last thing I'm gonna say about your podcast is ride that Patreon wave. So you just did your Patreon. I'm so proud of you. We backed it. We're just so happy for you. For the next couple weeks, I don't want you to like annoy people, but find other creatives and find other people that you can maybe bring onto the podcast who also have Patreons. Just because the more conversation you can bring up about that, the more people are gonna realize support creatives doing their thing. So I'm gonna recommend right now, everyone absolutely go support Sara on Patreon. It's an amazing thing to give to because it just helps her keep doing her as an artist, and that is beautiful. That's what we wanna promote. But the more you talk about your Patreon in a really organic way and not a subscribe to my Patreon in a very like, this is another person, this is what they've gotten out of it, this is what they do, this is how they continue to do their thing, people are gonna be like, you know what, yeah, I'm with that vibe, I support it, I'm a backer Patreon. And the last thing that I think that editor person could do, that like, that extra employee, that the last person, that content manager could do, that's the word I was looking for, is Facebook. Now, I don't really dive too deeply into Facebook because as content creators, unless you're creating like Prince EA, kind of like Nas Daily, like hero, just one really quick bite-sized, super inspirational content, it's not really gonna work out. Facebook is really like emotional content now and not as much tactile, so I don't see a lot of things working there, but what is emotional and tactile about your content is your podcast highlights. And that's a place that they could live. They could reach a new audience. They could keep having legs. All your old content can keep having legs on Facebook because you're only gonna be reaching a new audience. So activate them, have someone else post it for you. I don't think it should be a big focus of yours, but if you do put some time into it, you probably will see growth. Okay, this is a last minute thing. I am in line at Chick-fil-A right now and Chase and I are getting lunch, but we thought of one more thing for Sara's video that we wanted to, I'm not gonna keep that in my lap, that we wanted to talk about. Sara, get this person, this content manager, to also post on LinkedIn for you. My friend Noah sent me a DM and was like, yo, I think her micro content would explode all of these places. Because this is what I'm talking about. Community. Your fans are sending me ideas for how to do this. Straight up, your LinkedIn content could be huge. There's a, oh God, I gotta pull up, 1 second. Hello.
Hi, Kim.
Hello.
All right. There was just a spicy sandwich, no pickles, Chick-fil-A sandwich.
I don't know why I ate it, it's so hot. People love sharing things that smart people say on LinkedIn, and that's what you do a lot of. Remember I was talking about that kind of evergreen content? This is another place that should live. So if you can like present a, I don't know, conversation on a certain topic, if you can talk about more business type things, I think this would be a better route if you're going to make more content about small business type of stuff. Posting that content on LinkedIn would really pop. And then you would also become like a LinkedIn influencer. And for some reason, all the LinkedIn influencers I know have insane engagement and they're growing so fast. So something to give a shot to, LinkedIn. But again, this is not something you should commit your resources to. This is something a content manager should commit your resources to. And this person should be like part-time already. They shouldn't be a full-time employee, but just like someone. I think we have a couple people who in mind who might be able to do something like that. Yes, I do. I have a solid recommendation for someone. All right, so this last piece of content that I think is awesome. I think you should try and get, and now this isn't a very like legit idea. This is something I've just been noodling on that I thought would be just like epic. I think you should try and get in a movie press corps. Now, I don't know if that's what it's called, but I think managers might be able to help with this. I don't know specifically how it works, but get involved with a movie and try and get an interview with a celebrity. Just like any celebrity. And I know you did that thing with AT&T and that was like incredible. That was a really cool like collab thing. But if you could get like a big celebrity for a YouTube collab, like a sit down video, I think that would be so cool. Every time you do a big hero video, it pops up all over my socials, it pops over all over everyone's, and everyone watches it because it's just awesome content. Like when you did the video with Ryan, the real estate agent, was amazing. And it did really well in terms of views. So, creating content like that with big names, obviously is gonna bring in views, but when you bring your creative spin to it, and it's not just like another interview with a celebrity, it's like the same way Hot Ones is still interesting. It's not just another interview with a celebrity, there's such a twist there. I just think your creative mind could make something really, really cool. All right, I think that that's it. Is that it, everyone? That's all the things? Want to see something embarrassing? I tried to film an intro for the Twitter section and I drew this. So, can never get that one back. All right, so that is all for the Sara Dietschy content strategy. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I try to make it as entertaining as possible with also just giving as much value as possible. See, the thing about these content strategies is everyone is unique, and I'm gonna do a bunch more YouTubers. Please let me know below if you wanna see anyone else. But this is just fun for me. Like, I love thinking about these kind of content things. It gets my mind rolling. I can bring this advice that I'm thinking about to my other clients. If you wanna reach out and chat with me, numbers on the screen, feel free to just shoot me a text, DM me anytime about any of these things. Let's chat, let's make one. That's all we wanted to say. All right, have a good one, everyone. Thank you. If you're in the East Coast, please stay safe during the hurricane. All right, that's all. Thank you. Bye.
I made no promises. I can't do golden rings, but I'll give you everything. Magic is in the air.